Hello everyone, welcome back to my mathematics channel. So as usual, today I would like to continue with the calculation involving taxation. Alright, so let's continue with the question number 5. Okay, calculation involving taxation. So let's try to understand this question, right? So this is actually about the joint tax assessment, okay, and also separate tax assessment. So let's understand the question. Before we start with the question, we always understand the problem, right? Okay, let's try to understand the problem. Okay, so Mr. Subra and his wife each earn an annual salary of 61,000 for Mr. Subra, and for his wife the annual salary is 56,000 in the year 2020. The following are the expenses claimed by Mr. Subra and his wife for that year. So let's have a closer look at the table. So we have the item, okay, individual. For Mr. Subra, 9,000. For the wife, 9,000. And then for insurance is insurance and EPF is limited. There is a limit. So if there is a limit, we need to be very careful. The limit is 7,000. So let's check, is it exceed the limit? This one okay, because 6,000 is below the limit. Maximum is 7,000. For Mr. Subra's wife, 5,900 still okay, no problem. Lifestyle limited to, the limit is 2,500, and then for Mr. Subra is okay. For his wife is also okay, no problem. For the net deposit in SPN limited to 8,000. So it seems like both of them are within the limit. And then for education insurance, the limit is 3,000. It seems like no problem for Mr. Supra and the wife. Okay, still within the limit. So now the question is asking us to calculate the total income tax for Mr. Subra and his wife using separate tax assessment. So we need to do a separate calculation for both of them. After we do the separate tax assessment, we will actually add the tax for them. Alright, so be careful, we are actually given the annual income, right? It's at annual income, so that means we have to work out the chargeable income. Okay, chargeable income. So let's work out the chargeable income. Okay, we are going to calculate the chargeable income for Mr. Subra first, right? Okay, so we do separate tax assessment, so we need to do separate calculation. So let's see how to work out the answer. So we are going to show the step here. Okay, now we are going to devising the strategy. So we need to show clearly the working. So let's start with Mr. Subra. Okay, Mr. Subra. Okay, we will do the chargeable income first. Chargeable income, I wrote SCI. Alright, it's actually the annual income. Annual income for Mr. Subra is 61,000, right? So here for his wife is 56,000. For Subra is 61,000. So we'll take 61,000 for Mr. Subra's annual income. Okay, minus the tax relief. Okay, chargeable income is equal to annual income minus, okay, let me write down the formula. Chargeable income is equal to annual income minus tax relief minus tax rebate, right? So we are going to calculate the tax relief. Okay, so as you see from the table, we have checked the Mr. Subra and his wife. It seems like it's actually within the limit, so we can minus out all the item. Instead of minus, we will use plus. That means we will sum up like this, right? 6,000 plus 2,000 plus the 5,000, and then we plus the 2,600, right? So okay, so we will use a calculator. Okay, so our answer is, let's calculate carefully, 61,000, okay, minus out total. Okay, tax relief will be 24,600, right? So it's equivalent to 36,400, right? You can check using your calculator. Okay, so you can try to press your calculator to double check whether we are getting the right amount. So the chargeable income for Mr. Subra is actually 36,400. So now we need to double check again. So let's double check. We can actually sum up like this. If you want, you can just sum up the tax relief for both of them again. Okay, we'll try to use a calculator to sum up, you see. So 9,000 we plus with the 6,000, and then we plus with the 2,000, and then we plus with the 5,000, and we plus the 2,600. So we are getting 24,000. So let me jot down the total tax relief, right? Okay, this is 24,600 for Mr. Subra. Let's continue the table. We create one more column for the total tax relief. Okay, so for the total tax relief for Mr. Subra is actually 24,600, and then for his wife is 25,400, right? Please double check. Okay, so now we are going to do the same for Mr. Subra's wife. Okay, so let's write down. So for the wife, we will actually take, so let me write down the wife. Okay, the wife is equal to the annual income for the wife is actually given in the question. 56,000, right? We are going to minus out the total tax relief, which is you can read from the table. We have 9,000, we have 5,900, we have 2,500, we have 6,000, and then plus 2,000, right? So just now we calculated is 25,400, right? So if we minus, we will get the chargeable income for Mr. Subra's wife is 30,600, right? Okay, now based on this one, we will actually we'll do the calculation for the tax. Okay, so let's see how to do the calculation for the income tax. All right, for the income tax for Mr. Subra and his wife. Okay, so we have actually calculated both of them's chargeable income separately, right? So now we are going to do the next strategy, okay, which is actually we are going to go to the table, and then we want to find out what is the base tax for Mr. Subra and the wife, and also what is the rate for Mr. Subra and the wife, right? Okay, so let's go to the table. We have the table here. Okay, let's look at the table. So if we look at the 36,000 is actually somewhere around here, like if 36,000 here. Okay, let me highlight to you. So this is the row that we need to focus to. If the income less than 35,000, the person actually entitled for tax rebate, isn't it? Remember that tax rebate is actually meant for zakat and the income below 35,000. Got it? Okay, so it's 36,400 for the chargeable income for Mr. Subra, 36,400, right? So 36,400 is actually lies between 35,001 ringgit and 50,000, isn't it? So let's look at on the first 35,000 is 600, and next TNB is next tax balance. Next balance is 8%. It's 1,200 for 15,000. Alright, so based on that, we will find the income tax for Mr. Subra. And then for the wife is actually below 35,000. So later we'll come back to the table. So we do further step is we have to calculate the tax for the, so we are going to use the row that just now we mentioned just now, which is actually for the, let me use the table here. So we are going to jot down this one on the first 35,000. So we can do it here, right? On the first 35,000. So let me highlight. I'm going to refer to this one to calculate the income tax for Mr. Subra. So we focus on Mr. Subra's actually income tax. Okay, so now let's see, we actually want to calculate the first 35,000. All right, so the first 35,000 is actually base tax, right? Is the base tax is equal to 600. Okay, and then for tax on the next balance, okay, so we will take 36,000 Mr. Subra's chargeable income, okay, minus out this one, okay, 36,000, and because of the income is actually more than 35,000, so Mr. Subra is not entitled for rebate, right? Okay, there's a 400 rebate if the chargeable income falls below 35,000, right? So we have the balance of 1,400, just a very small amount. 36,000 minus 35,000, so we have 36,400 minus 35,000, we have the balance of 1,400. So we need to times with this rate. So the rate is given as 8%. We times the 8 over 100. So we will get the TNB, which is actually 1,400 times 8 divided by 100. So the tax on the next balance, TNB, tax on the next balance. So let me write clearly. So the tax on next balance is 1,400 times the 8%, right? Okay, so we will get the amount, which is just 112. So the total income tax is actually base tax plus the base tax plus the TNB minus the rebate, tax rebate. So okay, so we will actually just add, because the tax rebate is 0, right? So the answer is just 712 for income tax for Mr. Subra. Mr. Subra's income tax is Ringgit Malaysia 712. Got it? Okay, so now we are going to calculate the tax for Mr. Subra's wife. Okay, so for Mr. Subra's wife, so okay, before that we just write in order for Mr. Subra's wife. Okay, for the wife, we will refer to the table, which is actually lies between, let me see, Mr. Subra's wife. Okay, so it's actually here, and you can see that if it is below 35,000, right? So because Mr. Subra's wife chargeable income is 30,600, is actually lies between 20,000 ringgit to 35,000. So the base tax for Mr. Subra's wife is just Ringgit Malaysia 150, right here. Okay, then tax on the next balance, tax on the next balance will be on the first 20,000 RM, 20,000 have to minus out from the, we will write RM 30,600 minus RM 20,000, and then we need to times the rate is 3%, right? So it's 3%. So if you multiply the tax on the next balance is Ringgit Malaysia 318 for Mr. Subra's wife. Okay, so we will take 150 plus, so income tax for Mr. Subra's wife is base tax plus tax on next balance minus tax rebate. Okay, so base tax is 150 plus the 318 minus, don't forget, minus the tax rebate, right? Minus the tax rebate 400 because chargeable income below 35,000. So income tax for Mr. Subra's wife is actually 150 plus 318 minus 400, so it's just 68 ringgit, right? Okay, so just now Mr. Subra's income tax is Mr. Subra is Ringgit Malaysia 712. So we have calculated their income tax separately. This is wife, this is Mr. Subra. So the total income tax for both of them, okay, total income tax will be 7 for both husband and wife, Mr. Subra and wife is equal to Ringgit Malaysia 68 plus Ringgit Malaysia 712. So the total income tax for both of them, if we calculate separately, will be 780, right? So we have managed to calculate income tax for both of them, right? We are using separate tax assessment. All right, so I'm sure you got no problem to calculate the tax for them using joint tax assessment. You can try and you can find the difference between these two amounts. So that's all my sharing for today. Okay, I do hope that my sharing will help you to have a better understanding of how to calculate tax for a family using separate tax assessment. Till then, I shall continue with another sharing of the taxation calculation. So bye bye and have a nice day.